So this will, before I start off anything, this is going to require a few plugins. Um, I, this is the website that I went to get on. Um, you're going to want this one, OLM Smoother, uh, OLM Blur, Kira, and then Color Key, and then also Distance Gradation. And you can get all the rest of all these are like for free, but these are the ones that I primarily use. I've got like pretty much all these. But once you have those downloaded, go over to whatever file you're trying to use and make sure that you have everything exported as no background. So in this instance, I've got my main guys here, all this, the whole thing, um, and for that I have the OLM smoother up to 22%. Provides very subtle but key smoothness to the overall image of the character. And then what I like to duplicate that, and then I have OLM blur added on top of that with blur amount 27% with repeating number of 3. Uh, blending mode is set to overlay and the opacity is 100. So for this, that just adds like another underneath layer of glow to them. And then past that is the base body colors. So this is where it gets a little bit more complicated. I'll turn this off for a second. And so actually no, so the way I illustrated these was I have their base colors as 2 separate colors. And so that's gray and the darker gray, so the light and the darker. So that once we go up here to the base colors and use the color key, we'll get the option to select your amount of colors. And so everything else turned off, you'll see what I mean. And so this isolates those 2 colors. Um, so that way we can work it that way and utilize fucking shit to them. After that, I next have crackle noise added onto them, to the colors there. Didn't include red for shadow because I just wanted that to be left alone, and so it's the outline color of them. It's supposed to be glowing. So fractal type is on dynamic, contrast 100. Uniform scaling, that's important because that will apply fractal noise to remain its own size and let you like actually scale up and down. Check my fucking render settings. Okay, so yeah, so put that turned on. Scaling's up to 174. And next important thing here is for this first step of having that set, um, I have that set to a evolution from the beginning to the end of the clip. And so right here's the beginning part. Evolution set at just doesn't really matter, it can be 0 or whatever. But so long as you have the ending point of it set to its final number. In this case, it's 5 over 299.8, and that doesn't really matter. It's just depending on like the length of your clip and how long you want it to go for, and then how fast you want it to go for as well. And so you can still see it. Yeah, just enough. So in this instance, you can tell at like a pretty regular rate. It's not like too flashy or whatever. So in this case, it works out. And so blending mode for that is set to multiply as well. And so now for this next step that I have, it is the hue and saturation. So with this, you want to make sure you have it set to colorize and then add your first keyframe in the evolution of it, which fuck off, Spy Hunter. I'm not buying your shit, which was set to 0, and then at the end of it, I just have it to that form. But again, that doesn't really matter, just depending on how long your flip is and how fast you want your effect to go for. In this case, that's what I have it set for, just like over the span of like 13 seconds. So before I forget, actually, next step for this is want to go to your base isolated colors, whatever you have set in place, and then go to layer styles. And then for this, I have, fucking remember, my layer style in this instance is bevel and boss, whatever the hell that means, I don't know. And these are my presets for it. So inner bevel, chisel hard, 176, direction up. That's a little bit important depending on how you want it to look. My fucking light's supposed to come from the top, so whatever works in this one. Size 250, soften 16%. Use global light. Yeah, I don't want that. Um, Angle 120. Yeah, you can fucking read all that. Highlight screen 75%. Multiply shadows 75% as well. Jesus. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it for that. Just because the way I wanted to illustrate these characters, that's why I added it, because I wanted to have like the addition of this like fractal flowing noise, and then underneath and then on top of that to have like this almost like crystalline effect over them. So that's kind of what I was reaching for with that. So that's how I did that part. Um, then next here is the body glows. And for this, I basically awesome. That's cool. Um, Frozen, wicked. Let's hope it doesn't crash. Um, I pretty much just like duplicated the base one for just for the body glows, except in this case I have this in addition to it, and the blending mode is set to add with an opacity level of 62. Having that too high will kind of just like oversaturate it. And you can like, you don't have to do this like verbatim basically, but this is just what I have mine set to. And it's just kind of a process of like messing around and finding out what I want to have it be at as I go along. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much it. And you can use hue saturation or colorama. Um, Both provide different like utilizations and tools to use, but um, I kind of I changed it after the fact with hue and saturation, but I don't really like that. So, or no, I like that more than I like colorama. So I don't want to change it on this one. I don't really give a shit. But yeah, that's what it's at. But you can use like both of them. It doesn't really matter. Um, and so all of them turned on. This is what we're gonna be at so far. It's kind of what we're going for. And so the next portion, I this is gonna be for the aura. So and how I pulled this off was I duplicated my export of my characters, and then I have the blending mode set to add. And for the first step here is having fractal noise set over it. Doesn't really necessarily matter what kind of type you use for it, because there's like different fractal types. Basic is what this is set to. A noise type, yeah, soft linear. You get the idea. Uniform scaling, for instance, it doesn't really matter for this case because it's not really going to be present um, on like the first uh, portion that we fucking showed here. Um, and so these are the settings that I have for it: complexity, yada yada yada. Get the fucking idea. Evolution from 0 to 4, same shit. So that's that, and then Next step, this is actually kind of important. So this is going to be using the OLM distance gradation, and this will isolate from the inside out and give this kind of like more clear view of the center of the characters, but still have this outline border effect of the crackle noise. And so by doing that, the fucking like upwards like blurriness to it, which you can change the angle, slow that renders. Which is at 0, so it should be the default for that. If it's not, then fucking type it in. Next is turbulent displace, and this is adds like the fucking like wavy effect to it, which is of course solution. What I have it starting off at is so whatever fucking 24, and then same process, the beginning and ending keyframes. That'll evolve as the timeline goes on. And then next is this is actually this after the fact, but next I have the hue and saturation, and then I have it set to colorize as well. Starting off at this percentage here, and then it just evolves towards the end. 20s on. Everything started. This is what it should look like. It wants to fucking render. My God. And so this is the obviously the behind aura, and so just set to add. And what I did next was I just duplicated that, and then have another additional one on top of all of the layers below it, which is set to vivid light, and then adds a nice contrast between both the characters and then the behind uh, glow effect as well. And then if you want to, you can touch it up a little bit by having the evolution of the hue and saturation and turbulent displace map um, set at different rates, so they kind of like they're not just identically like overlapping each other. They actually like move at sets of like an impression of actual like flowing aura. Um, and so that's kind of how I did that. All right, and so now for the final part, star effect that goes on. This is not even a fucking render within decent time, so I'm not even really gonna try. But yeah, so that you know what I'm talking about that shit. Um, so how I did this was I started a new adjustment layer. Sure, there's like commands for it, but I usually just do new and then adjustment layer, and brings that up. Um, and then going up to X preview, CC particle world, that's what this is here. And this here is where it gets even more of a bitch. I have these presets set in place right now for it. Physics is set to twirly. Um, the velocity -60. These here, this is a little bit important depending on like how you want them to appear and then disappear. Basically, like the birth and death rates of them. Um, but down to particle, have this set to star, and so that's what this is. You can do it other ways, but um, as far as I know, this was already in here. This has been a while since I like actually made this. I don't really remember, but if not, then there's like tutorials and like how to add your own stars. But this should be preset already. Um, Birth size 0.010, depth size 0.480, size variation 100 to 100. And so depending on what you're trying to go for, in this case, it's like hypersonic and hypershadow. So this is just a like fucking color, whatever you fucking call it. The fuck's the name of that shit? Oh my god, I can't think of the name. It's gonna say like color tree. That doesn't make sense. No, this is the fuck. I can't think of the proper word. Okay, anyway, this is the fucking colors chosen for it. Just to fit the style. So like if you're doing like fucking I don't know supersonic or something, then it'd probably just be obviously yellow, light yellow, darker yellow, and maybe red, orange or something. Add flair to it. But by doing so, you have all these options to choose from. Custom allows you to do this. Um, and then transfer mode set to add, not composite. And then these are all the things I have set for it. Depth, Q, fade, distance 2.64. And the last part, this is important because otherwise you're not going to be able to see what you're doing, or it's not going to show the background for what you have chosen, which is the composite with original. Otherwise, it's just going to render with a black background, despite you having a background set in place. And so random seed is set to 7700. I'm a genius. So now with everything turned on, that's the wrong background. Ooh, spoilers. This is what you should end up with, more or less. And so, yeah, boy, out here getting hoes.